Hello and welcome to this edition of Crossover. I'm Ji Xiaojun.
Hello from Beijing. I'm Louisa Li.
And the topic for today is tourism, but not just
not
any
just traveling
tourism.
abroad.
Yeah, not traveling. It's traveling, but it's medical tourism.
Yeah, and
what does it mean?
Well, it means that people are traveling abroad to seek for medical treatment.
Medical services.
Yes.
Chinese traveling overseas, tourists coming to China for treatment. We are going to have a discussion on that topic, but trying to find out what are the reasons why are people now doing that. They are taking all the trouble, actually, to travel to a different country to take the treatment.
Yes.
And in the studio, we're now joined by three special guests. We have Professor Tsai.
Yeah,
welcome.
Thank you. I'm the professor of health policy and health economics.
In the healthcare industry.
Yes.
Okay, and we have Roberta.
Of a healthcare platform in China called United Family Healthcare.
So much better, a nice way to put it. Okay. And we have James, another Mr. Tsai.
Yeah, I'm James Tsai. I'm founder and CEO of St. Lucia, which is the first and the biggest medical tourist facilitator.
So that's what you do?
Yeah.
You send people away?
Every day my business is refer the high-end patient to America, to UK, to Japan.
Wow, you're bad.
So
you're sending our revenues away now to overseas.
Yeah, I've done this business for 7 years.
So how big is the market? How many people do you send away?
So at the first year, St. Lucia is founded in 2011. At the first year, just the whole year, 2 patients.
Only 2?
The first year.
And you still make money?
Lost most of my money.
Okay.
And second year, only 7 patients. So just the first 2 years, we lost all the first investment. But last year, 2017, more than 1,000. Wow. And I think this year should be, I cannot see exactly figure, but much more than last year.
Yeah, but it's a 5-digit number or 4 digits still?
Still 4.
A lot of them.
According to the study, 600,000 people travel abroad for medical treatments from China.
Yeah.
Right.
But in fact, there are different kinds of medical tourists. So one is for the very severe disease, for example, cancer, complicated heart disease, or neurosurgery, something like that. But also I have some other company to, for example, help the patients to have a baby in America. That kind of business. And in fact, there are also another companies help Chinese patients to have the plastic surgery. But for my business, it's only focused on the cancer, that kind of very
more severe conditions.
But still, it sounds like this is a new industry to me or to the population in China. So we're going to share with you, before we start a real conversation, how people see the issue of medical tourism for Chinese. Take a look.
Yeah.
这个我觉得是跟每个人的这个情况有关。就我而言，一些疾病的面前可能会选择海外就医，然后一些情况我们会选择在国内救治。
如果需要的话，就是考虑到跟国内就医环境的比较的话，如果差距比较大，我会考虑就医环境，然后当然排队啊、人员服务各方面的肯定会有一些区别的啊，包括这个医药的这个研制程度也不一样啊。
国内的大部分的医院还是提供标准化的医疗服务，那么国外的一些这个医疗服务还是能够提供个性化的服务。当然，它的前提条件就是说你有足够的资金。
我认为就是国内的就医环境已经非常成熟了和健全了，所以我一般不会建议去国外就医。同时，国外就医的费用也比较高昂。
语言不通，然后不了解当地国情。我本人有一些就是商业保险啊的这种保障，所以可能不太会。
他们那边不像我们这边的医疗制度这么怎么说，这么人性化，你不能做到有些24小时都有医生在的，所以有的时候就非常的麻烦。而且第二个感觉就是它的这个费用问题，就算你在当地是有你的医疗保险的，但整个算下来你的费用其实也是非常的高。而且现在就算再看国内的话，国内包括一些公立医院，包括一些私立机构都有非常好的这个硬件设施。如果换作是我的话，我觉得其实包括让我或者我的家人在我们国内进行一个 医疗体检，我觉得是完全 OK 的。
因为我之前是去韩国去做了这么一个牙，在国内的话是因为时间周期会比较长，那比如说我要去做一个牙冠的话，在国内可能需要等1周，然后这1周的话，我的牙可能是很难看的一个状态，但是在那边的话，我1天基本上就做完，然后晚上就可以走了，就可以去吃东西了。
我一般不会选择去海外医疗，因为在国内的医疗设备已经可以满足我的需要，而且去国外的话费用会比较高，所以一般我还是会选择在中国国内选择就医。
These are the interviews taken in Beijing on the street, so all these passers-by, and I guess they represent certain aspects of the attitude that we might have toward medical tourism.
It seems like everyone talks about money. Money is like the primary issue why people might consider not going abroad.
So, Professor, according to your research, I mean, is this a booming industry? Is it also developing, growing these days now?
No, I should say it's growing. Every country, when they reach some kind of income level, so the people start to have high needs for the healthcare, for better quality of life. So we'll see, because we have a lot of students, alumni, they work in this area. They have an entrepreneurship in this area. They even organize people to go to India, for example, to get cheaper drugs. Organize people go to Japan, even go to Taiwan. Some foreign country, the people thinking it's very expensive. Some country even have a better value sometimes, because considering the quality and the costs, some country even not necessary will be more expensive than China.
There's recently a new movie been released in China called I'm Not a Medication God, 我不是个药生. And this movie is all about people who don't have medication available to them in China. Of course, it took place 15 years ago, but those people thought of a way to go to India or to get medication purchased from India because it's number 1 cheaper, number 2 not readily available to them. So one reason people might go abroad is to get medication or treatment that's not available in China yet.
For fatal diseases.
For serious and fatal diseases, that those treatments aren't available in China, even though it might be more expensive, or maybe some people are looking for a less expensive way to deal with their illness.
Why are they not available in China?
Well, there are many, many drugs, especially cancer drugs, that are approved for use in the U.S. and Europe that aren't yet approved for use in China. And so when people are at a certain stage of their illness, they want to get access to those drugs.
But why are they not approved in China?
I should say sometimes it's already approved early in other countries than in China, because China took a much longer year to go through this kind of regulation process.
Why does it take more years in China?
There are a lot of reasons, because also even with shortage of the specialists, experts, because all these experts right now, China is depend on the government budget. For example, in the U.S. FDA, they more than 3,000 professionals to working on the process. China used to be only less than 100, but over the last few years, we start to increase the manpower. Right now, probably 200 to 300 people, but compare what we need, still have a huge shortage.
And new medicine is being invented every year. I guess they have to come in line.
If the medication is discovered in the U.S. and approved in the U.S., then they need to bring their clinical trials to China, sometimes do more clinical trials with Chinese people in China, and then get in line for the application for the Chinese FDA. And that sometimes takes many years.
How many years are we talking about in terms of new drugs, in terms of drugs? How many years are we lagging behind?
5 to 8 years.
Yes, several years. For 5 years or 6 years. But last 2 years, we already achieved huge, substantial progress. We start to shortage. There are some important drugs. Even the time become pretty short, less than 1 year, they approve some kind of drugs.
So that's one of the main reasons why Chinese patients, some of them would choose to travel overseas.
For the drugs.
For the drugs. You were shaking heads at the time.
Yeah, in fact, why so many people, more and more Chinese people traveling to overseas for treatment? In fact, the reason is very simple. Medicine is one reason, but all statistics use that only 17% of all patients use the new medicine. The rest
17.
Only 17.
17.
The rest of them use the medicine already approved in China.
So what are the other factors? Why are they choosing to go abroad?
The factors they want the better. Previously, they think that Peking Union is the best of the best in the world.
Better what? Better service?
Best service, best quality, best specialist. But right now, they know that. They also have Harvard. They also have Mayo Clinic. They also have Johns Hopkins. So for
it's all your fault.
Yeah. So for the yes, you're right. This is my fault. So that is because of this. For the high-end customers, they have enough money. They want to buy the best of the best healthcare in the world, not just in China.
And they're not going to their platform.
Plenty of them
yes,
do.
It's also very,
plenty of them do. So
it's also a very good platform. But you can see that the most concern is not anything else. It's just the money. In fact, that is the key. In America, absolutely, they have Harvard, they have Mayo Clinic, they have Johns Hopkins. All these hospitals have a lot of Nobel Prize winners. Absolutely, they are world class. But they are also the most expensive medical costs other than any other countries.
Wow.
So for high-end customers, they want to pay for the quality, for the service.
Because you mentioned like most of your patients, they seek for overseas treatments for like severe illnesses, severe conditions. How about the patients here when they're in that life-threatening stages? Why do they go abroad? Can we treat them here in China? That's what we're trying to
I'd love to answer that question.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So you may have heard that cancer survival rates in the United States are much higher than in China. And I think maybe the fact that we don't have all the drugs available to us, that's part of the reason. But I think a bigger part of the reason is the approach to healthcare and the way people seek answers in China. So in China, every hospital is very highly specialized. Each department is independent. There's no multidisciplinary approach, right? So in the United States, people have a family medicine doctor that understands their whole situation, and if they're starting to have a problem, that family medicine doctor will help them to diagnose as an expert. In China, every individual has to be their own expert and decide which kind of doctor to go to. So often, and we've seen this many times, people end up going from doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist, city to city, hospital to hospital. Meanwhile, their disease is getting worse and worse to the point that they're almost not curable. Sometimes those are the people that are willing to pay maybe $80,000 or $100,000 to go abroad, but they're already so sick they're going to have a problem, maybe get sicker on the road.
We should see the difference right now. It's like there are two different kind of organized healthcare. One way we call the patient-centered healthcare. Another way, it's more like what we do is the disease-centered healthcare. Okay, they only see your body parts, the disease. It's just Roberto said. You see this part, do you have a sick? If this part, no problem, push patient to another part. If you treat the patient-centered healthcare, you will look at your not just their physical problem, even look at your psychological problem. So in the good patient-centered healthcare, they have a different kind of people work with you, rehab, psychologists, sometimes they even treat you spiritual, some kind of thing. They also have a work as a T, we call the MDT. It's like they have a physician, a family physician, it's like a manager. At the beginning, they manage the whole things. In China, nobody manage you. People like have a serious problem.
We manage your disease.
So only manage you one part of the problem. There are no people lead you, give you a guide. So if people like desperately this kind of a fatal disease, they don't have a knowledge, don't have information, they are really afraid. They're afraid they need some people help them. Not only the disease, even mentally, the rehab, but all things.
But Professor, is it luxurious to talk about this since we're now facing such a huge population?
So we need to have a system kind of a change. Also talking about who's paying this kind of money, reimbursement, that's so important. But in China, the cancer, we start to have some kind of MDT, different doctors sit together as a group discussion. However, if 10 doctors sit at the same time, spend half an hour talking about the one patient, you don't get 10 payment, right? You only get one payment. So hospital don't have this kind of financial incentive to provide this kind of a good service. So you need payment reimbursement system change. So that's why it's a system kind of a change we need.
Going back to what Roberta was saying, because I also grew up in the West, so I'm familiar with the family doctor system, where you have a family doctor, and then they tell you if there's something wrong, they refer you to a specialist. This is the system in America. But how about the rest of the world? I mean, I'm sure not all countries have this kind of system.
So we have this system in America, in Canada, and in England, and Australia, and we also have this system in China, a United Family Healthcare. And China is also recognizing that would be a big solution. So trying very hard to train more family medicine doctors. And in fact, you know, John, you say, could we possibly afford it? I think if you can change the whole concept of the system and start training more family medicine doctors from early on and changing the mindset of the hospitals. In fact, it costs the same amount of money for a patient to buy insurance to get that kind of treatment at a private hospital in China, at our system, than it does that we pay into the public e-ball policy.
Sounds very complicated, but I guess the solution to that is stay healthy.
Right. And get a family medicine doctor to help you stay healthy.
Stay healthy. But before we take the break, actually we'd like to share with you one more video. It's the story of a patient going overseas to take treatment. Let's take a look.
我今年31岁，在2015年年底的时候，发现自己得了霍奇金淋巴瘤，在国内做了8个疗程的化疗。 然后在后期复查的时候发现了复发，国内呢医生说暂时不能确定是什么原因，需要再等到3到4个月。我认为这个时间有点长，对我们病人来说的话是一个容易错过最佳治疗时机的一个时间，我就选择了海外就医。 其实我刚开始也不太清楚那个海外就医这个事儿，因为也接触不到这个问题。然后正好我姐呢，她是在互联网医疗工作的，之前也接触过就是这些海外就医的机构吧。然后我也算是比较幸运，那个了解到了以后，也确实是走出去了。海外就医的话，我当时有2个选择，一个是美国，一个是英国。 美国的费用呢，相对来说要比英国大概要高50%或者50%以上吧。但是它的技术来说都差不多，差几个百分点吧。国内跟国外的区别就是，国内一个医生一天可能要看50、60个到上百个病人，但是国外的医生可能一天就看5到10个病人，所以他会有更多的时间去研究你的病例、你的情况。 他会通过化疗医生、外科医生跟放疗的医生，去来商讨你的病情、你的治疗方案。
Welcome back to the studio. And we've been talking about there's an emerging group of people that are traveling abroad to seek for medical help.
And we also saw that video that was telling the story of a Chinese patient going to take treatment overseas. And I guess he decided finally to go to the United Kingdom over the United States because it's more expensive. So cost is one of the main reasons. But his concern was more about the level of medical service, the quality, and everything. He couldn't risk waiting for that 3-4 months, which could be fatal to him at the time. Tell me it's good ending. He got good treatment and he's okay now.
Yeah. So in fact, this patient right now is nearly cured. But the cost, I think, is around 600,000 RMB.
600,000? Yeah, that's about $100,000 US, right?
Yes, something like that. But that is in the United Kingdom. In America, normally is more expensive, double. I think at least double than this figure.
Yeah, but so, one issue he did mention, Professor, is in China, because we're facing such a huge population, a doctor might have to treat 50, 60 patients a day. While in Europe, in America, probably 5, 6 people in a day. But that's simply the fact we have to face, right? We have a huge population here.
That's very interesting. I always give a speech talking about the physician problem. It's a huge problem in China. We have almost 3 million, we call the so-called doctors. However,
you don't believe them.
Look at their education background.
Yeah.
About 60% they receive college above education. There are 40%, that's me, over 1 million, we call the doctor. They only receive 2 year, maybe high school
training,
or even less than high school education. So that's what we used to call the barefoot doctors. On the other hand, so that's why China have a huge shortage of qualified doctor. But on the other hand, we see every year we have a lot of medical school graduates. They give up to go to practice. We see almost 1/3 of the medical school graduates. They could be potentially could be the doctor, but they give up.
Why is it the case?
Lower pay, not very respectable, really high pressure, the working load, working long hours. So because they give up a lot, but they don't get much. So that's the huge problem.
And they're taking on huge risk, and they take people's lives literally in their hands. And this deserves the ultimate respect. But unfortunately, they're among the lower paid professions. And in order to earn a good income, sometimes they have to take payments from drug companies or from patients to jump the line. And then their self-respect goes down. So a lot of people don't want to be doctors.
Is there a solution to this? How can we encourage more people to become doctors? How can we give more incentive?
Jen said, go overseas.
No. Because I'm the health policy specialist, I do have a solution for the healthcare, how to do the healthcare reform. But hopefully it could be gradually taken, accepted by the policymakers. But that's a need to do a lot of systematic reforms, not just one way. The pricing, the payment, how's the physician employment arrangement, all these kind of things need to have a change.
Medical system, that's another huge topic. Another huge topic.
Yes.
It's huge topic.
Yes.
But if we come back to the topic of today, of this edition, medical tourism. Having said what you've said, there is another phenomenon we have noticed. If the service level, the quality and everything you talked about is not as good as in Europe, in America, but at the same time, we're also seeing a lot of people coming to China for treatment. Not only overseas Chinese, Roberta, you mentioned, not only Chinese coming back to China, but many foreigners, they come to China. Why is this happening too?
Well, if you look at the countries around the border of China, like North Korea, like Kazakhstan, like Mongolia, like Russia, especially the far east of Russia, the medical facilities are very poor. And the level is certainly not up to where China general level is. But I can tell you that every year we have very many patients coming from those countries, both natives of those countries and expatriates who are living in those countries. They'll come to Beijing and come to our hospital for surgery, for checkup, for baby delivery, for all of those things. So it's not like there's not hopes for medical tourism. Also, I mentioned Boao, and for many years in Hainandao, there's been a big stream of medical tourists coming from Russia who really come to enjoy traditional Chinese medicine treatments.
Traditional Chinese medicine treatment.
Yes.
Is that a big part of it?
Yeah.
Do you also do this?
No, I don't do that.
You only do exporting, no importing at all?
Next time, I will.
I'm giving you a chance. Do some import.
Next time, I also want to attract all foreigners to China.
Yeah.
So we already signed a contract to build a clinic in Shanghai. I talked to Professor Chai. So in this way, one way refer Chinese high-end custom to America, UK, and also Chinese medicine absolutely is wonderful. A lot of foreigners can benefit from the Chinese medicine.
But you feel the demand from overseas patients?
Yeah. In fact, there are great potential. In fact, for medical tourists, there are two chains. One is how to save the patients from India, from South Korea, from
surrounding
Russia,
countries
to America.
Okay.
The high-end custom from developing countries to the best hospital in the world. This is one chain. So you can see a lot of famous guy to Mayo Clinic, to Harvard, and so on. And in fact, this is a small market. The much bigger market, I see the much bigger market, is the patients from America, from Europe, and even from some Asian countries come to developing countries, like in India, like in Malaysia. Every year, India, Malaysia attracted a lot American patients, European patients to be treated there.
And China included?
China is great potential right now.
I don't like the word potential.
Yeah.
But for those people who are not coming to China for treatment, what are the reasons?
Because Chinese medicine, for example, this is best in China.
Probably most of them are overseas Chinese. They're already familiar with Chinese system. They have some kind of confidence for the Chinese traditional medicine, especially for people if they have a fatal disease like a cancer, end of stage. Even the West medicine lost really effectiveness, so they maybe come back. They choosing some alternative medicine to maybe help them to do some kind of rehab or even improve some quality of life. I'm thinking there are a lot of potential for that.
Again, if we come back to the phenomenon for now, despite all these difficulties, overseas Chinese, a lot of them choose to come back. And one of the arguments is basically, like you said, Professor, is a language issue. Because they might be living overseas for long, but again, we're talking about medical terms. They speak English, but it might not be easy for them even to communicate with their doctors using all these medical terms. And while in China, they speak the same language. That's not the issue, Roberta?
The truth is, no, I believe that overseas Chinese don't really come back to China for health care, generally speaking, unless they don't have insurance in the United States, or they don't have insurance in whichever country they're in.
Getting too expensive without medical insurance.
The only reason they're coming back is because they have Yibao, or because it's going to be less expensive.
They have insurance here back in China, not in America.
And in my experience, the Chinese people who go overseas experience health care in the United States or in England. They generally love it. And those are people, when they come back, they're coming to a private system that's more like the United States.
Okay, I'm playing the bad guy here.
Okay.
There is one more argument, say.
Yes.
Probably they don't really have that many patients in the hospital, but there is a queuing system, appointment system. You have to make an appointment, say, that's like 2 months in the coming 3 months, and then you don't want to wait.
Maybe, So here you have to get up at 4 a.m. and go online to
But I can get the treatment today.
Or you have to, so Homer, you have to find your friend's friend and invite them to dinner.
In China,
so
speed,
it's a choice, right?
See, Professor?
Yeah. In the other countries, you need to make appointment. You cannot just jump into the line to knock the doctor's door to say, I want to see you today. But in China, in terms of this kind of convenience, China do have an advantage compared to the other country. Also, it used to be many years ago in China, do the transplant. In China, it's fairly easy. Even it's difficult to get organs in other countries. It's used to. But that used to be one important reason.
Not now.
Not now anymore.
For example, I lived in Australia for nearly 20 years. In Australia, there are two kinds of system. One is public system. Another is private system. If you buy the private insurance, in fact, it's very easy and it's very quickly to make an appointment to see the physician. For example, my wife has some issues and need to do surgery. If we went to the public hospital, maybe we need to take at least 6 months to do the surgery. But because we have the private insurance, it's just 2 weeks. We can make the best of the best surgeon to do the surgery, and very good private room and so on. So it depends on what kinds of the custom. If the custom have to go to the public system, in America, in Australia, in UK, you always have to wait quite a long time, sometimes 1 year. But even in America, in UK, Even in Australia, if you have a private insurance, that's very quickly. So for example, in America, if our patients, if they already have the visa, we just need 1 week. We can make an appointment to see the very top specialists.
You also mentioned something very interesting. You talked about the visa. So is it easy to acquire a medical visa going to the States? How difficult is it vice versa, coming into China?
Do we need a special visa to come to China for treatment?
Yes, of course.
We do?
Yes. Yes.
Tourism visa?
You can come for tourism, but it's not really the real reason you're coming, right? And then if you end up in the hospital and have to stay for quite a long time and the visa runs out, then you have to go back and make another story for the police department to extend the visa. It's quite complicated. That could be smoothed over and made easier
But do we,
people.
I don't know, I mean, do we in China have a special visa called medical service visa?
I don't think so, no.
But you can get it going to the States. To my knowledge, you can get like a medical visa going to the States.
In fact, it's very, very important. If, for example, is potential market, great potential market, but if Chinese want to attract more foreigners, this is a very key, very important issue.
Visa issue.
Visa issue. For example, if a patient went to Japan, want to go to Japan for treatment, the normally tourist visa, the patient only can stay in Japan for 2 weeks. 15 days, that's not enough. So we can help the patient to apply the medical visa. That can stay in Japan for half year, sometimes 9 months. The one specific visa, that is medical visa. So in America, is similar. In UK, it's similar too.
Which countries are you taking your patients to?
America, UK, Japan.
Okay.
Some German.
Now we can use up some of your experience of medical import-export service.
Yeah.
So let's take a break first.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to discuss the potential, the prospect of China developing its own medical tourism industry, not only probably in Hainan, but as in a general sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
The discussion continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to the studio. Now we want to talk about the future of medical tourism in China. We want to attract more people to come to China.
So is it possible, starting from you as a business guy, so is it possible that in the future we're going to see China having a medical tourism industry?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, in a lot of Asian countries, like Singapore, like India, like Malaysia, they attracted a lot of foreigners.
So what do they go there for, say Singapore and Malaysia?
Yeah, and India. For example, India is very good at the heart surgery.
Heart
surgery. A lot of Americans flying to India for the surgery of heart.
Why do Americans fly to India? Is it because it's cheaper, right?
Yeah, one, very good quality.
It's always the price. Yeah.
Quality and cheaper.
Two, much cheaper than America. So a lot of people, mostly I think is the people don't buy the insurance in America, so they prefer to travel to India for high quality, but at the same time very cheap price.
Right.
So in fact, these are great potential in China.
Wait.
Yep.
So heart disease in India.
Yeah.
In Singapore and Malaysia.
Yeah, Singapore, for example, some cancer patients, South Korea, plastic surgery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know that a lot of Chinese people flying to South Korea and come back. The police cannot recognize.
They have trouble in customs.
Yeah.
Malaysia?
Malaysia, a lot of anti-aging, but a lot of anti-aging make you younger.
So where's China then?
So right, China, I think it's just in the beginning, very beginning.
So which direction do you think?
I think one, Chinese medicine.
Chinese medicine?
Need to do a lot of different things. I think that firstly, we need to do a lot of promotion. In India, for example, every year, India government attend a lot of medical tourism shows to promote India healthcare. If you see the CNN, you can also see a lot of advertisement of Thailand hospitals. So two, the regulation, the medical visa. Three, the hospitals. We must provide some very high quality healthcare to the patients. You must build a very good reputation.
Okay.
Then we can attract, and also very important, just like Professor Tsai said, we need to train a lot of good Chinese and
Doctors.
English.
Bilingual doctors.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Roberta, you see the potential as the founder and CEO of Union Family Hospital. So do you see the potential to start your new business?
Absolutely. It's not really a new business. We already have quite a few patients that come from North Asia and also Southeast Asia.
What about Chinese medicine?
We do Chinese medicine,
but
they come for all kinds of reasons. Their yearly health check. They come for cancer care because there's no cancer care available in, for example, Mongolia or North Korea or even Siberia. So people are already coming to China for those reasons. And besides just bilingual doctors, we have actually 600 bilingual doctors in our system. Besides bilingual doctors, we also have a big group of people who are patient services managers who can translate languages, 22 different languages, into Chinese or English. And then we have, for example, if a patient wants to come from another country, we're picking them up at the airport. We're making a hotel reservation for them before their checkup. We're ordering food for them that they're used to eating.
Your tourist agency.
Also, you have to, if you want to do that business, you have to make it very convenient for people to come and get care.
Roberta, do you think other hospitals are going towards that direction as well, doing the same thing that you're doing?
I think that the public hospitals in Beijing also get patients from those countries, patients with less money. And so they get those patients, but for them, it's not necessary to build up this business because they have so many patients already.
There is a fundamental difference. They're public hospitals.
Yes.
You're a private hospital.
Yes.
That's the fundamental difference. But Professor, do you see the potential at all?
The potential of talking about what kind of service we might potentially provide, and thinking the surgery is an important potential. Give you a very famous business case in Canada. They have a hernia surgery treatment in surgery. That's a simple surgery, small surgery. However, they check a lot of patients from the American. Why? Because they provide a very comprehensive, low-cost, good service. It's like a tourist medicine. Whole family spend 1 week in Canada as a vacation. You have a surgery payment. So potentially in China, a lot of kind of surgery, they could provide a low price because China doctor, they practice surgery, have a lot of among patients to practice. The surgery skill could be potentially better even than the
clinical experience.
Experience than other foreign countries.
So in that case, if we're going to develop, say, this medical tourism industry, are they going to eat away the resources, the limited resources for now? Is that going to create an even bigger problem for domestic patients?
Yes.
That's the...
Maybe we import doctors as well. So we import doctors from the United States, Canada, England. We have 102 foreign doctors in our system that come from those places, Hopkins, Harvard, Mayo. They come from those places and they're practicing here. So we also have the opportunity to take the experience that they've had there and have a different kind of approach, a different platform, more comprehensive, multidisciplinary. And we also have a lot of outreach. So we work together with the Ministry of Health, teaching the art of medicine. We have 2-day courses. We go around the country and our foreign doctors talk about how you should treat your patients, how you should talk to your patients. When you have bad news, how do you deliver bad news to your patients? How you think of patients as a whole person, not just one organ. So we're also sharing that experience here. So so changing the medical education system is one way. Importing doctors, it's another way. I understand that the government is actually looking at the regulations of how they license foreign doctors in China so we can attract more great talent to China as well.
I think a fundamental way is we need to resolve our own problem to make the physician-doctor become an attractive career, because China have a huge substantial, we have a human resource, we have a very brilliant Chinese people. The potential could be the good doctors. We need to really resolve this problem.
So I think that it's good for private hospitals to attract foreign patients. For the public, especially in China, for public hospital, I think that they need to focus on to treat domestic patients firstly, because not like in America, they have enough physicians they have enough medical resources. But in China, for public, especially for public hospital system, there's still too many patients. So I think, but for private, it's totally different stories. And in fact, it's good for private hospitals to do this kind of business because private hospital can give the patients a lot of other service. If you want
like picking you up at the airport.
Yes, absolutely. That is true. That is true. That is very important.
Yeah.
That is very important.
Booking you a hotel room. Those are the problems facing all these patients coming to China for treatment. But I guess this is the same problem facing Chinese patients going overseas.
Absolutely.
So there might be some concerns they need to consider before they make a decision.
Yes.
I mean, you might solve the problems for them, but they need to worry about that themselves, starting from language, starting from all these arrangements, starting from the huge costs, which is not covered by health insurance here and back in China.
Yes. In fact, right now, I think 7 years ago, nearly 100% of our customers self-pay. But right now, more and more patients already be covered by private insurance. So you can see the trend is like that, not like this. This is one trend. But in the end, it still needs a lot of money, especially for my business, because Sandosa is only focused on the very complicated patients. So it's very important to let the patient know that that is not right for everyone. That is absolutely not right for every patient. One, if the patient's condition is right for traveling, 13 hours, 14 hours.
Yes, that's true.
Some patients cannot travel so far. Maybe they have dangers in the way, in the airplane. This is one. Two, if the patient can get a benefit for this traveling, if the patient fly from China from Beijing to New York, to Boston and so on, if the hospital in America cannot give the patients better treatment plan, that is not good for patients. Three, money. If that's not covered by the insurance, then the patient must make sure they have enough money to cover all the costs, including the air tickets, accommodation, and the most expensive medical costs.
Yeah, China people selling one apartment could provide enough money.
Do patients have concerns, like say follow-ups? You know, say if they get treatments abroad and they come back. So what happens if they need follow-ups? They need to know what's going on with their body.
Right. So that's a big concern. Continuity of care and quality of medicine is really important. So one of the problems that I've heard from like Cleveland Clinic and Mayo and Harvard, Columbia, is that often they're getting Chinese patients who are not suitable for treatment, who come and are wasting the trip. And so they really are miserable about that because they don't want people to waste their time doing that. Secondly, they worry about the patients that they treat that really do need follow-up care, but they lose them when they go back to China. So that's one downside of medical tourism. If there's no way to have continuity of care, then that's a problem. So we also sometimes send patients abroad. If there's really no solution here, and we know there's a solution in the U.S., we will arrange for our patients to have treatment in the U.S., but of course then they come back, they're still our patients, and we can do the follow-up, and we stay in touch with the doctors abroad. So continuity of care is definitely a concern.
And no matter what we're talking about, no matter what kind of difficulties they're facing, I guess the best way out of it is stay healthy.
Indeed,
stay healthy. Eat healthy and live healthy. Stay healthy.
Exercise, do all that.
Exercise.
Also, and they say the death quickly. After you keep healthy, suddenly one day you passed away.
Well, we don't want to mention that part. Stay healthy and watch Crossover. That's the key thing. So once again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to Crossover.
Thank you for your insights.
And thank you for watching this edition of Crossover. We'll see you again next time.
Bye.